All right, let's dive into MongoDB. If you're coming from the world of SQL, you've probably spent years thinking in terms of tables, rows, and columns. So you might be wondering, what's all the fuss about with this new way of doing things? Well, we're going to translate everything you already know into the super flexible world of document databases. Right? That's the big question. You've mastered SQL, you know how joins work, you get relational data inside and out. So how different can this really be? The good news is, all that knowledge you have, it's not going anywhere. It's actually going to be a huge help. This isn't about starting from scratch. It's just about looking at data from a slightly different angle.
And at its heart, this is the single biggest shift you need to make in your head. We're moving away from those rigid rows and columns and into these really flexible JSON-like documents. The best way to think about it is that each document is its own complete, self-contained little package of information. Now, this flexibility is a total game changer, but to really use it well, we've got to learn the language first.
So first things first, let's get the new vocabulary down. We're just going to map the terms you already know, the ones you use every single day, to their MongoDB counterparts. Okay, let's do it. Let's build that bridge. How does all my relational know-how translate into this new document world? You'll see, it's actually pretty straightforward. So check this out. It's pretty intuitive. A database is still a database. Easy enough. What you used to call a table is now a collection. A row or a record is now a document, and columns are just fields. Even really important concepts you depend on, like a secondary index for faster searches, that translates directly. The two biggest mental shifts, though, really come down to how we handle joins and transactions. And this right here is the big why behind it all. In the SQL world, you'd perform a join to pull related data from different tables. In MongoDB, a lot of the time, you just embed that related info right inside the main document. So, for example, instead of joining a users table with an addresses table, you could just put the address information right inside the user document. It's way, way faster. So we've got our new structure down. Collections are full of documents. So the next logical question is, what can we actually put inside one of these documents? Exactly. You know, a flexible container is great, but it's only useful if it can hold the kind of stuff I need it to. So what are my options? What kind of data can I work with here? Well, let's start with the basics you totally expect. Of course, you've got your standard UTF-8 strings for any kind of text you can imagine. And naturally, you've got your classic integers and doubles for all your numbers, whether they're whole numbers or have a decimal point, no surprises there. But here's where things get really cool, and where that document model starts to shine. MongoDB has native support for arrays. This is huge. It means you can store a list of things like, say, a bunch of tags for a product, or multiple phone numbers for one contact, all in a single field. You can even store things like small images or files right in the document, using the binary data type. When it comes to time, you actually get two really powerful options. The date type is for storing a specific moment in time, like a timestamp. But there's also a special timestamp type that MongoDB uses internally to keep track of operations, which is super important for things like replication. Now, this one is really unique to MongoDB, the ObjectId. If you don't give your document a primary key, Mongo just generates one of these for you automatically. It's a tiny 12-byte ID that's guaranteed to be unique and is incredibly fast to create. It even has a timestamp baked into it, which is pretty clever. And finally, there's the simple but super important null type. It just lets you say, hey, this field exists, but it doesn't have a value. Pretty straightforward, right? Okay, so we've got the new lingo down, and we know what kinds of data we can store. So, how do we actually do anything? Let's get practical. Okay, this is all great in theory, but where do I put it all into practice? Where do I go to type my queries and run my commands? What's the command center for all this? Meet the Mongo shell. This is your home base, your command center for everything MongoDB. And the really cool part is that it's an interactive JavaScript interface. That means you can use the full power of JavaScript. We're talking variables, loops, functions, the whole shebang, to work with your data right from the command line. And you're going to use the shell for pretty much everything. It's not just for simple lookups. You'll be in here querying data, making updates, running complex reports, and handling all your admin tasks, from managing users to checking on performance. Phew, we've actually covered a ton of ground in just a few minutes. So let's take a second and just quickly recap the most important things to take away from this. First,
all your RDBMS knowledge is still super valuable. It just translates. Remember, tables are now collections and records are now documents. Second, those documents are powerful. They can hold rich data types like arrays right out of the box. And third, the Mongo shell is your interactive JavaScript-powered command center for getting things done. So, with these fundamentals under your belt, you're officially equipped to start exploring a more flexible, document-based way of handling data. Really, the only question left is, are you ready to rethink your data? Hey, thanks for joining us for this explainer. If you found this helpful, do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more. We'll be back soon to break down another complex topic. See you then.